Hello, everyone. A judicious and terrific Tuesday to all our learners, parents, and teachers from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Are you ready for a new English 10 learning adventure? Hold on tight as our E2 Live online tutorial takes you there. I am your tutor guide today from Santa Rosa National High School, SDO Lapu-Lapu City. Hello, everyone, and of course, with supposedly is Tutor Ram. Hello, Tutor Ram. I hope your connection will be better next time. We have some internet problems here. And also, hello to my program head, Tutor May. I hope Tutor May can join us today, this afternoon. Hello. And yes, please follow us every Tuesday from 3:40 to 4:20 p.m. Hi, Tutor May. And of course, we have to acknowledge our early bird wanderers. Let me first greet and say congratulations to our top three early bird wanderers today. We have Faith Tarubago Juson. Good afternoon. Faith Martha Isabel Juson or Huson, grade 10 SSC, watching from Ocampo National High School, SDO Camarines Sur, student of Ma'am Karen P. Bigeha. And also our top two is Nagish Lay Pradis. And still from grade 10 SSC, Ocampo National High School, SDO Camarines Sur. You're the top two. And our top three, hello to our wanderer in quarter one, Rainiel Manabat de Vera. Good afternoon, Rainiel. Hello. Of course, you're here again. Always. Thank you so much, Rainiel, for always following us, especially to all our students from Macabebe High School and with your teacher, Teacher Vilma and Sir Marco. Once again, thank you and congratulations to our top three early bird wanderers. Our dear wanderers, I hope you are ready to wander as you wonder in our English 10 learning adventure. And please don't forget, invite your classmates, your schoolmates, and friends to experience our happy learning that would be so that more will be reached as we teach. Please don't forget our hashtags. We have it there. Please don't forget. That's our hashtags. And yes, just a reminder, everyone, just to remind everyone about our Wonder of the Week. Actually, for this week, we haven't found our wow. Why? Because we have to really follow our guidelines. Please don't forget to stick to the class until the end and share the video lesson. As what we have observed, I guess nobody shared, or probably there is, but then they miss another criteria. You have to really follow our guidelines and yes, submit an excellent output. And talking about excellent outputs, we have congratulations to our students from Macabebe High School. Again, Teacher Vilma and Teacher Marco, congratulations from Macabebe High School. Here are your best outputs. Congratulations. Also, aside from Macabebe High School, we have students from Santa Lucia National High School. Santa Lucia National High School. Teacher Roel Santos. Hello, sir. Thank you for encouraging your students to really submit their outputs. Also, we have our best outputs still from Santa Lucia National High School. And yes, wow, we have lots from Santa Lucia National High School. Also from Ocampo National High School with their teacher, Ma'am Karen Primavera Bigeha. Thank you so much, ma'am, for encouraging your students to really submit wonderful outputs. Again, congratulations to the three schools, Macabebe High School, we have Santa Lucia National High School and Ocampo National High School. Thank you so much, dear teachers, for really encouraging your students. Now, let's talk about our learning adventure. Please note that in our learning adventure, we have 6 stops. We have our first stop, our review, then we have the trail thrill, treasure hunt, our final trail, our learning postcard, and our learning bucket. Please note that we are going to follow these stops as we go on with our learning adventure. Wow! Wow! Mm. Hello. Later po, I would like to welcome Tutor May. Tutor May, our program head, to join with me since Tutor Ram is having some problems with the internet connection. Right? So we will wait for Tutor May later if she will be okay. All right. Again, to our English 10 learning adventure, dear wanderers, please don't forget to always follow us. Congratulations, our dear wanderers, because we are done with we have already week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now we're down to week 7. For our week 7, we will focus about feminist and historical approach. Feminist and historical approach. Wow, so that means we are down to the week 7 of our third quarter. I hope you're all ready because today in our learning adventure, we will take 2 challenges and you are going to earn 15 tokens. Yes, 15 tokens. Wow, I hope you're excited and you're ready. And of course, I would like to say thank you to Deped Navotas and Deped Pasig because we are using their modules as our main reference for today's learning adventure. Wow. Let me check first. We have a lot of comments here from different schools. Let me have from, yes, Ocampo National High School, Rovik, Denver, Ninia. Hello, Jill, Janelle, Almira, George. Please invite your classmates and friends. We have Abby May. Hi, Abby May. We have many students from Ocampo National High School. We also have students from San Mariano National High School, Maine, SDO, Isabella, Riza May. Hello, Riza. Hello, Tutor May.
Hello, Tutor Jedi. And Tutor Jedi, we have
Hi.
100 live viewers now tuning in for grade 10. That's so amazing. So, like what you're saying, grade 10 learners, please share our episode today because we will be discussing another set of schools of thought that are very important for you to learn to systematically and appropriately criticize a literary text.
Wow, yes, it did Tutor May. Wow, that's amazing. And yes, Tutor May,
Mhm.
let us first stop. We're gonna have our first stop, our review spot. Tutor May, go, go, go.
Mhm. So, when we say literary criticism, these are the things that we have to know about. It refers to the act of interpreting and studying literature. And when we say literature, it's not just any text that we're reading. We are studying valuable written texts. Those that stand the test of time. Yung talagang maganda ang pagkakasulat, Tutor Ira. Next, when
Yeah,
we are mm, when we are criticizing literary texts, we analyze, we study, and evaluate works of literature. Kaso nga lang, when we do this, we use different lenses. So what are the lenses that we talked about 2 weeks ago? Pwede siyang lens ng formalist, lens ng structuralist, lens ng Marxist, at lens ng moralist. So what you can see on the slide are the lenses that we use to evaluate a text. So ibig sabihin pala, Tutor Juday, walang tama, no? It depends on you what school of thought you would like to use for a text. There's no really right or wrong. The question is it really appropriate or not? Is formalist appropriate to use to study a text or structuralist kaya? Is it right, Tutor Juday?
yeah. Yeah, Tutor Guide. Yes, Tutor May. Tutor Guide May. Yes,
Ano
Tutor
yun?
Right. And Tutor May, let's first have
Mhm.
a review about formalist approach. So since we have already discussed the 4 lenses or the 4 approaches, let's start first with the formalist approach. This is just to recap, Tutor May. We have formalist, we analyze the form, from the word the form of each individual element of a story. So primarily it deals with the text. You focus on the text and not on
Mhm.
any of the outside considerations. So you don't look into the author, you don't look into
Mhm.
the real word, the audience, or other literature, but rather on the text, on the form itself. That's Formalist Approach. And yes, Tutor May, we have here an example for formalist criticism. So this is a story of an hour by Cody Armstrong. So this is an example of a formalist criticism. We have in the story of an hour, in Kate Choplin's Story of an Hour, the formalist criticism is used to show the forms of symbolism. So Tutor May,
Mhm.
ginagamit po yung symbolism,
That's
imagery,
true.
and theme. And yes, these are used to portray the mixed emotions of a
Mhm.
wife who just lost her husband. So this is one example of formalist criticism. And to May, we also have another lens or approach. We have
Is it
the structuralist.
structuralist?
Yes. Go, to May.
So when we say structuralist, everybody, grade 10 learners, it uses linguistics, semiotics, and the major ideas in a piece of work. So we are looking at the study of language, the signs, and the symbols. So we would be looking at the structure, how words,
Structure.
how signs and symbols, yes, are used in a particular text. If formalist would be really particular, para siyang formalist and structuralist, yes, they are both attuned to the text. However, they
Yes.
have different focus or foci. A formalist approach will be in the forms used in the text. Structuralist will be the structures employed in a written work. So, can we see uh, a lens or a sample of a structuralist criticism, Tutor Juday?
Yes, to May.
Ayan.
So here, so how do we use structuralist
Mhm.
criticism when we analyze a text? So the very first thing that you have to do is to read the piece and look for specific pattern. So the keyword there is structure. So the pattern, we have to look into the pattern, the repetition, the contrasts in characters, the locations, objects, the language used, and the decisions made. And then after that, after you read a text and look for specific patterns, you can now explore the similarities and the differences that can help tie together the story's events. So you connect one event into the other by analyzing the devices for metaphorical content so the reader can try to find allusion if there are allusions and
True.
connections to
Mhm.
other pieces and events. So by looking into the patterns, the contrast, the similarities, then you try to make a connection. And then by then you can start analyzing your text. So finally, you can formulate a claim on what the text's function. It's not just the meaning tutor may, but rather the
Yeah.
text's function based on the observations made in the previous steps. So in this
Mhm.
criticism, the text's function is its meaning. Yung function talaga niya, tutor may. And we have an
True.
example, tutor may. For example, this is very common, tutor may. In horror stories, yeah, we are very familiar with horror stories. Yeah, we know that
Mhm.
there's some pattern to their may. You see someone, innocent person, and then after that, there's some kind of strange sound either outside, and then they check what's that sound, and then later on they will just whoa, they will be murdered in the end. Wow, that's that's for horror. And another example to me for love story. Yeah, generally we see a main character and then that character
Mhm.
meets someone and then they fall in
Mhm.
love. Then there's some problem. So the pattern is very common. And then there's a problem and then sometimes they turn apart and then sometimes they reunite.
Mhm.
They got married and then sometimes they die. So see the structure,
Yes.
the pattern and the
Yes, Tutor.
connection. Yes, Tutor
Juday.
May, you want
And
to add?
like we can see here, students, that we can observe that structuralist and formalist approaches are very limiting. Why? Because they are the early schools of thought used to study a text. Eventually, those who analyze text, those who study literature, find that these approaches could be leveled up. There are other factors that need to be studied so that we can understand a text better. That's why we have other lenses that we talked about last week. And what are they? First is the moralist approach. By the word itself, moral, we judge the value of the literature based on its moral or ethical teachings. Ang isang literary text ba ay nakakatulong sa pagsusustain ng good ideas or it spreads bad ideas. So, nandito, Tutor Juday, yung tinatawag na censorship, pumapasok
Sensor.
sa moral approach pag ang isang literature ay nag-espouse ng bad idea, we censor or ban a body of literature. Anong mga types ng literature yung kasama or naban? One is the catcher in the rye. Pinagbawal yun. Kasi it has many ideas there na hindi raw nararapat para sa mga teenager. Pumapasok yon
Yeah.
sa moralist. Second, it determines the worth of literature by seeing it if it encourages good out of the reader.
Yes,
Mhm.
good. Dapat good. And very common term, eh? This story is really very common. When we were in elementary, we are very familiar with this story. The boy who cried
Yes.
wolf. Yes. And when we analyze this text, why do we consider this as an example of a moralist approach? Is we look into the moral of the story, the teaching,
True.
the lesson that we can get. So in this story, to May, the boy lied so often. Yeah, so often they cried wolf, 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 but actually there was no wolf. But and then when finally the wolf really came, nobody believed that boy already because
True.
they've been lied many times. And then the people in the village, they thought that he's just joking, it's not true. So the moral of the story is that
Mm-mm.
no one believes a liar. Dear wanderers, our
True.
students, please don't be a
Mm-mm.
liar.
Yeah, don't be a
Yeah,
liar.
you
And
have
in
to speak the
addition,
truth.
Tutor
Yes, to
Juday,
remain.
uh,
Yes, yes po.
the moralist approach peaked during the time when religion is also at its peak. Ang pangit
Right.
lang sa moralist approach is that it subscribes to didactic literature. Anong ibig sabihin, Tutor May, ng didactic literature? Pag sinabing didactic literature, ang isang literature daw ay dapat nagtuturo sa atin ng magandang asal at hindi tayo tinuturuan ng mga masasamang influence.
Right.
Therefore, if that is the kind of literature we subscribe to, ang ating titingnan or ang ating gagamitin na lens ay moralist approach. So it balances para silang magkapatid. Kung if we are subscribing to a didactic literature, didactive literature, therefore our approach is moralist. Kaso nga lang,
Moralist.
the begging question is, bawat literature ba ay dapat nagsasabi ng tama o mali, or is it a means just to entertain people? So it's a balance of these two worlds. Should a literature teach us, or should a literature make us feel enjoy? Pero if it teaches us, definitely papasok yan sa moralist
Moralist.
approach.
Yes, tamang-tama, Tudor May. I
Mm.
believe our wanderers are really learning the lesson, especially when they read something, read a story. This is a very common
Yes.
question, Tudor May, especially in comprehension questions in any text that they
Mhm.
they read. There is always a question: what is the moral of the story?
Yan,
Wow. So
opo.
that's an example of moralist approach. And yes,
Mm.
Tutor May, we have also discussed this one, the Marxist approach. Go, Tutor May.
Oh, for the Marxist approach, it examines the relationship of a literary product to the actual economic and social realities of its time and place. So, ibig sabihin, what are the class struggles that we can find in a certain text? nag-aaway, is the conflict brought up because there's a tension between the poor and the rich? Karamihan ng mga telenovela natin, Tutor Juday, ay pwedeng
Yes.
i-analyze using Marxist approach. Or
Opo.
example, yung proliferation ng pagkakaroon ng third party sa mga telenovelas natin ngayon. Bakit nagkakaroon ng third parties? 'Di ba minsan we can see there na yung babae ay humahanap ng financial opportunities para kung siya ay galing from a very poor life, she can have a much more comfortable life by marrying into a man na mayaman.
Yes.
Kaso nga lang, kakabit nga lang siya. So, we can analyze that using Marxist approach. So, hindi pala sobrang dapat komplikado, Tutor Ira, ang ating, ay, Tutor Ira, sorry, that's for grade 3. Tutor Juday, sa dami ng teacher ng English, pero love na love ko sila, no? Ay,
Yes, yes,
we
yes.
can study, yes, we can study a certain text, a telenovela, using Marxist approach. But we have to remember, if it's Marxist approach, class struggle to. The fight between the rich and the poor. So let's recap. So when we say forms, formalist. So when we say structures, it's more of structuralist. Pag good and bad, the lesson in it, moralist. Pag class struggles, poor versus rich, that's Marxist. O di ba? Madali. Pero yung mismong gagawa ka ng paper, yun ang mahirap. Pero once
Mahirap
we,
po.
we, we under, yes po. But once we understand the core difference among these approaches, kaya natin. And here is a sample. Go ahead, Tutor Jedi.
Yes, Tutor May. For Marxist criticism, this is a very common movie. And yes, we have this from different books, children's book. Cinderella. Yes, in this story, you can really see the struggle of Cinderella with the stepsisters, with the stepmom, and also in the society. You can see there the different classes. The prince, porque prince, ganon. Tapos si Cinderella, anong level lang, anong klase Cinderella. So this is a very good example of Marxist criticism. Very common example.
Yes. Tsaka Tutor Juda, you can see there, if we will use the Marxist approach, kailangan ni Cinderella maging magmukhang mayaman just so the
Yeah, kaya,
prince can be attracted to her, o diba? So that's one
yeah,
idea we have to look at using the Marxist. Nung hindi siya, kung siya ay wearing tattered clothes, hindi siya magugustuhan ng prince. Pero she has to put on a very good gown and glass shoes, diba? Para magustuhan
yes,
ng prince. So, what does it say about class? What does it say about rich and poor? Yun yung Marxist. Ngayon,
yes.
hahanap tayo ng isang text na Tutor Juday explaining all these lenses. Go ahead so we can really exemplify the differences among these schools of thought.
Yes, Tutor May. We have it here when I'm very sure that our grade 9, our grade 10 wonders today, when they were in grade 9, they studied about Romeo and Juliet. I think this is one of the stories for English 9. Yes, Romeo and Juliet. So let's try to
Mhm.
check Tutor May an example of formalist approach to Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. We have mentioned this last session in our sixth week about Romeo and Juliet. So in the story or in the novel Romeo and Juliet, this is a
Mhm.
tragedy, and then this talks about the setting is giving us a clear picture of an imperfect realm. Imperfect, because you can see there, there's freedom from everything except for love pure love, which is quite unrealistic goal, because yes, the incident that sets the plot in motion. So the setting,
Mhm.
the plot, especially on Romeo's decision to attend the Capulets party. So ultimately, the
Mhm.
characters love. We're looking into the form, the text itself.
Mhm.
Okay, about the characters' love, which actually does it. Yes, Tudor May it resolve the feud, but namatay po sila at the price of their
True.
lives. Parang nasolve
Yes.
yung, parang bang nasolve yung tragedy, yung problem sa conflict ng family, Capulet and Montague, but they, yes, they died
Oh,
in the story to
and
May.
yes, and we can see here, Shooter Juday, that when we use the formalist approach, parang may kulang, no? We don't delve into so many things. Talagang
Just the
forms
text.
lang talaga. Yes, text lang talaga for formalist approach. So you can see the goodness and the improvements for each school of thought. Now let's go to the next lenses using the same text, Romeo and Juliet. Let's now have the structuralist approach. So, grade 10 learners, as you can see, it's pure discussion. Wala pa kaming ganong exercises because we want to really explain the differences of the schools of thought. So, it takes much discussion to really explain all these schools of thought. So, for structuralist approach, Shooter Jedi.
Yes, Tutor May. Parang the same lang siya sa formalist approach, pero ang
Mm-hmm.
tinitingnan po dito, Tutor May, is the connection, the interconnection
Yes.
of the strategy, the situation, the plot, and what happens to Romeo, and then what happens to Juliet, and then what happens to them in the end. Parang
Mm-hmm.
kino-connect-connect lang po yung pattern, yung connection between the characters, and then in between the plot, and then in the end we realized that that's the ending. Yes, it's
Yeah.
actually almost the same with Tudor May sa formalist, pero ang tinitingnan po natin sa structuralist approach, as what we have mentioned a while ago, is yung structure, yung pattern, yung
Mm-hmm.
connection, for us to look into the character, to look into the conflict or the tragedy. And you
Yes.
might want to add, Tudor May?
Oh, I think this is good already. We can now move on to third Juday to the next
Yes.
lens using the same text. Ngayon, aalis
Yes.
tayo sa text and we will look into the moral, the lesson, and here it is. Romeo and Juliet allows the audience to think that marriage is a long-term process and is not felt only in one glance. It is an important thing in life that should be considered thinking through a lot. So marriage is something to think about. Di ba sabi nga ni Shakespeare, let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments because
Impediments.
marriage,
Yes.
yes, because marriage is not an easy thing. And
Yeah.
kaso nga lang sa Romeo and Juliet, we can really see there how quick they decide to go together. Though very romantic, Shooter
Love at
Juday,
first sight.
love at first sight, yes. And ang pagiging ang ano nila parang, you and me against the world. Pero ang
Mm,
daming odds. And those odds, like what you said, resulted in their lives, no? And also, Tutor Juday, if there could have been a presence in the text na talagang nag-guide kay Romeo and Juliet, maybe naiwasan pa yung pagkamatay nila because there's no moral person there. Kumbaga, a person who would judge, no? Parang stereotype ng a wisdom man or a smart woman, we cannot really see there in Romeo and Juliet. Parang lahat sila emotional and quick to act. That's why etong dalawa din, no, it just spent parang wala pang 2 weeks yung buong plot ng Romeo and Juliet, no? And they're very
yeah.
young. Very young.
Yes.
They're in their teenager years. So what does it say, no? For serious matters like marriage, it's not something to be decided upon by the teenagers because teenagers are very emotional. Totoo po yan because there's a certain part of the brain not yet formed, not yet well formed until you reach the age of 20 plus. Ayan, for the
25.
moral yan. O 25, no? Pag di pa 25, emotional pa. Okay, kaya lagi kayo
All right.
kaya grade 10, dahil po halos kasing edad ng mga grade 10 natin si Romeo and Juliet. I think Romeo mas malapit sa edad ng grade 10. Kaya please, huwag kayong magagalit. Pag
Mm,
sinasabihan kayo pa ulit-ulit ng mga magulang niyo na listen to me, listen to me. It's not
right.
to inhibit or to impede you to whatever you like. It's just that we had already experienced those things, no? That's why
Right.
lagi namin sinasabi, pabalik na kami, ay paparating pa lang sila, pabalik na kami. Totoo po yun and it's not exaggerating. Pero if we have that perspective, look at it that way, for a certain text that's moralist. Now let's go to the era to Marxist. Eto na nga
Yes,
yun.
Tutor, yes, Tutor May. Please don't forget last session about moralist approach.
Mhm.
the very important thing is you have to know the difference between love and I think that was love. It's just an infatuation, love and infatuation to remain. And yes, talking about another lens, we have the Marxist approach, still about Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. So in this tragedy, Romeo and Juliet, it displays alienation. So Romeo was seen as unmanly, and he didn't follow the
Mhm.
quota for what it takes to be a man. Okay, Juliet didn't want to marry or have kids that caused her to be alienated from the others, and both
Mhm.
did not conform to societal expectations. Of course, if you are poor, it is expected that you gotta marry or be with somebody
Mhm.
poor in most scenarios. But then Romeo and Juliet's case is really different. So they displayed some kind of an alienation, right, Tutor May?
Yes,
Magkaiba po
that's
sila, rich
true.
and poor. Yes.
Mhm.
And Tutor May, I think we're ready for our first challenge. For our first challenge, our wanderers will just answer true or false. I hope you're ready. In this challenge, you will have 5 tokens. For number one, go Tutor May.
Oh, for number one, here it is. Please listen. Ano ba yan? Number one, feminism is a collection of movements aimed at defining, establishing, and defending equal opportunities for women, including their gender roles. What do you think is the answer for number one? Is it true or false? We're now heading to prepare us for the next lesson. Sabi ni John Albert, Shooter Jedi, it's true. Is that
True.
correct?
Let's check. And I guess the correct answer here is indeed true. Congratulations. And
Yay.
let's move on to number two. For number two, please think if this is true or false. Feminism deals with women only, and how they are treated or written in the society. What do you think? Is this true or false about feminism? 3 seconds to think. Timer starts now. Please type your answer. Is this true or false? Nagish Lay answered false. Let's reveal the correct answer here is yes, false. Feminism deals with
Mhm.
women only. Let's find out later on. Why not? Why is this false? For number three, Tutor May.
Oh, for number three, you have here. Okay, historical literary approach believes that an author of the world, the author believes that an understanding of the world the author lived in allows for a more comprehensive understanding of the world. Is it true that when we are using historical approach, we are looking at the history of the text and the history of the author himself? Is that true or false? Please put number three and then your answer. According to Stephanie, it's true. Stephanie Sabroso, is it true that it's true?
Yes, let's reveal. You have a token if you have a correct answer. Yes, it's true, Tutor May.
Oh,
Number three is
congratulations.
true. Wow, we have many students who answered true. Very good. I think they're very familiar with feminism approach. For number four, historical approach. This is another lens that we will be talking this afternoon. Another approach. Historical approach focuses on the connection of work to the historical period in which it was
Mm-hmm.
written. So literary historians attempt to connect the historical background of the work to specific aspects of the work. 3 seconds. Think, is this true or false? And if you can answer correctly, you can have a token. 1 token for you. We have
According to
answers already.
Persha,
Wow,
it's true.
yes. True. Let's reveal if yes. Renver also, Louise. Let's check. Yes. For number four, this statement is true about historical approach. Number five. This is number five. Tutor May.
For number five, here is the question. There you go. It will be on the screen na. Hintay lang tayo ng konti. For number five, ayan. Baka ano lang tayo, meron typographical error, but this is
Yes.
number five.
Opo. That's number five.
Yes. Historical literary approach focuses on female representation in literature, paying attention to female points of view, concerns, and values. Again, this is number five, and most of them answered
Yes.
false. Shooter Jedi. Is this correct?
Let's find out if this is correct.
Ta-da! It's
For number
false.
five, to May,
Galing.
yes, indeed, this statement is false about historical literary approach. That means, Tutor May, kindly total your scores. I hope you got 5/5 in our first challenge. So congratulations, our dear wanderers, if you got 5/5. If it's less than 5, that's still okay because we still have to learn these lessons, right, Tutor May? And
That is
here are our
correct.
objectives. Yes, for today's session, we are going to define feminist and historical approach, distinguish the differences between feminist and historical criticism approach, and we are going to analyze a literary selection using the feminist and historical approach. Wow, congratulations. We have many students who get 5/5. Yes,
It's
Tutor
okay.
May.
Yeah.
Feminist,
And
historical.
historical.
Go, Tutor May.
Oh, we have a line here from Adrian Rich. The connections between and among women are the most feared and the most problematic and the most potentially transforming force on the planet. This reminds me of the song by Doja Cat. Diba? Let me be your woman. Woman, woman,
Wow.
woman. Well, I don't know how to sing, but this line reminds me of that song. Now let's discuss, what is this line talking about? Under what school of thought is this line?
Yes, Tutor May. This is on
Mm-hmm.
feminist approach. So, talking about feminist approach, we are focusing on the female representation in literature. And we pay attention. It doesn't really mean that only female characters. We just pay attention to female points of views, female concerns, and values.
Yes.
Also, feminist approach believes that literary texts tell readers about gender
Mm-hmm.
relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And it analyzes the text to explain usage or the discussion of gender. So tutor may
Mm-hmm.
kung nakikita po natin, it's more on gender relationship. Okay?
Yes,
The
that's
reason why
true.
the answer was false about only women, it's not just only women in the story or the characters just women. We highlighted the
Mm-hmm.
women in the story. And to May, we have the aspects of feminists approach. The aspects, go to May.
Well, here are the aspects that we are looking into when we are using this lens. First, the author's gender. Is he a man or is he a woman? Sinasabi nila, tutor Juday, na nakakaapekto sa
Yung author.
pag-create ng sa pag-create ng characters kung ano ang gender ng isang author. Lalaki ba
Author.
siya or babae? Example,
Yes.
yung si Christian Louboutin, yung creator ng sikat na Louboutin shoes, lalaki siya, 'di ba? And ang ginagawa niya ay heels. Yung heels daw ni Christian Louboutin ay masakit sa paa. Bakit masakit sa paa? Kasi hindi naman siya babae. If he were a woman, he could have considered the comfort of those who would wearing his shoes. Pero lalaki siya. So that's an example of how author's gender is being studied in a text. Second, the author's attitude towards women in society. Is he a misogynist? Diba? Is he creating women that are weak in character, or
Mhm.
the author is creating empowered women in his text? So inaaral po yan. Next, the author's culture influence his or her attitude. Ibig sabihin, saan ba galing si author? Siya ba ay Eastern? Siya ba ay Western? Author, example, pag southeast daw, pag southeast medyo empowered daw ang mga female characters. But if you would look at the East Asian characters, medyo weak ang mga babae in terms of their writing. Types of roles do women have in their text? Are they leaders? Are they housewives? Are they females with position? So tinitingnan din po. Attitudes towards women held by the male characters. Are they subject to the authority of the male characters? Are
Right.
they are the females dominant over the male characters in a text? So talagang gender roles and gender relationships. Ang tama si Tutor Juday, it's not only women that are being studied in a text, no? It's the dynamics of the genders. Syempre, how would you compare if you will just look at one gender? So kailangan yung gender, male and female. And bakit
Female.
nga ba nagkaroon ng feminist approach, Tutor Juday? It's because of the call, no? Because we have known that our society is very patriarchal years and decades ago. And because there's the call to have equality over men. That's why you have feminist approach. Pero pag sinabing feminist, hindi naman pwedeng sabihin na mas malakas, mas
Mm-hmm.
magaling ang mga babae. Equality. Equality ang pinaglalaban natin, not dominance. Because if you would just look at the power dynamics at sabihin mas magaling layo ang mga babae, that's not equality anymore, 'di ba? It's the opposite of what feminists are fighting for.
Yes, indeed, Tutor May. Thank you so much. And we have an example here, Tutor May. The
Mm.
still the same Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, and we're looking into the feminist approach. Yes, we have already
Mhm.
mentioned the patriarchal society, which is depicted in the tragedy Romeo and Juliet. So the
True.
lead character, Juliet reflects the feminist struggle. So there was a struggle, feminist struggle against the patriarchy.
Mhm.
And then she does not have the equality to the men. Of course, it can
True.
be seen that she cannot determine who she will marry. If you can recall in the
Mm.
story, when they heard about Montague, oh my goodness, or something like that, there was some kind of conflict already, talking about Capulet and Montague being having family conflicts. So she has done many efforts to live with her lover. Yes, we have seen that in
Yes.
the novel. A lot of effort just to be with Romeo or Romeo. What's in the name? However, it is impossible to do that since there are many obstacles that she faces. So the condition is difficult for her, but she fights. She really fights for it, right, Tutor May? So this is an
Yes.
example of feminist approach to Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. Go,
Yes.
Tutor May.
Si Jonel Tutor Juday medyo parang na-IO na siya. Pero it's okay, Jonel. Yeah, the things that we're talking about here are quite complex. But patikim pa lang 'yan, 'di ba? So we want you to understand that we have different eyes to use to study a text. It's okay that you kind of feel overwhelmed. Halaga naman nakaka-overwhelm you to, tutor you tayo. We have to acknowledge that, but we want you to be immersed with a different point of view to look to use and look at for a text. Now, after feminist, let's go to the next one.
Yes, Tutor May. We have there's a keyword here, history. Yeah, we connect the dots throughout history, and this can lead us to wherever and whenever we want. This will help us to better understand what we read. And that talks about historical approach. Historical approach involves understanding the events and experiences surrounding the composition of the work, especially the life of the author. So this time, Tutor May, tinitingnan natin yung author and using the findings to interpret that work of
That's
literature.
true.
So ano yung tinitingnan natin sa historical approach? So we are looking beyond the literature at the broader historical and cultural events occurring during the time the piece was written. Meaning, Tutor May, tinitingnan natin dito yung time, kung kailan
Mhm.
ginagawa yung literary piece. And
Totoo.
here are the aspects. Go, Tutor May.
Oh, we study the author's biography, his or her life story and social background. Is he coming from from the poor? Is he a poor person, or is he a middle class, or is he a rich person? Because they say no that the class of the author
Yes.
or
Mm-mm.
his socioeconomic position would have a difference on how he or she thinks about things. Think about things. Example, etong ating tutor, well, one of that is yung ating sa may parasite, 'di ba? Iba yung perspective ng mayaman, iba yung
Mm.
perspective ng mahirap doon. Then you have when the work was written. Is it written in the 20th century, 21st century? Ideas circulating at that time, we call this as social milieu. What are the emerging ideas during that time. Example, the literature in the 70s would be so different in the literature of the 90s here in the Philippines. 70s would talk about the leadership of Marcos, his martial law, 'di ba? Well, the 90s would talk about things looking forward to the 20th century, the millennium. Then events occurring at the time of writing, and what the work meant to the people who first read it.
Yes,
Let's have
Tutor
an
May.
example.
Thank you so much. And still on Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, titingnan naman natin in this approach, historical approach. So here is an example. So it is believed that the play is based on the real Italian love story from the third century. So as what we have mentioned, we look into the time when the play or the novel was written. So they believe that this is a real Italian love story in the third century. So the real families are the Cappelletti and the Montesi or Montecchi families. So Shakespeare wrote his version. So version ni Shakespeare is, if you can remember, the Montague, the Capulet, and the Montague, right? And yes, also this time during these years, they included the Elizabethan era, also known as the Renaissance, or a time of significant change in religion, politics, science, language, and the arts. So, Tudor made historical, tinitingnan yung time during what time, what century, ano yung mga common during that time, what happened, what are the significant changes in the religion, in politics, science, language, and also in art. So that is for historical approach. Do you want to add to the May?
That's true, Tutor Jedi, because we say that every one of us is a product of our time. Example, no, yung mga magulang natin, 'di ba? They're a product of their generation. That's why we have this term, generation gap. That's why our time, our milieus, the dominating ideas that are in a particular period, it affects the text. Katulad nga ng sinabi ko, that the text in the Philippine literature in the 70s would talk about martial law, would talk about Marcos, for example, because he is the president during that time. And it would be so
Indeed.
different, yeah, if the literature would be written this year. Maybe it would be about Duterte. Example, we have this book such as the Duterte Manifesto. So it's really, pag historical talaga, we look at the period. So
Right.
i-recap natin starting from the
Yung time.
schools of thought we studied last week. So we have the Marxist social struggles, class struggles, poor, middle class, and rich. Pag sinabing
Reach.
moral, it's easy, good versus bad, 'di ba? Kapag sinabing feminist, gender roles. And pag historical, it's the history and the events that happened in one's life and one's environment. So as you can see, grade 10 learners, we have different ways talaga to study a text. It's not the question here is not correct or wrong. Is the school of thought you employed in studying the text is appropriate or not? So you have to really determine what school of thought is very appropriate for the certain characteristic of a text. Pero yung ginawa natin dito, just for you to know na yung Romeo and Juliet, we use different approaches para makita nyo how approaches are different from one another. I think we can move forward, Tutor Jedi.
Yes, Tutor May. This time we're gonna have our challenge number 2. And for this challenge, you will have 10 tokens. And we have a challenge passer. What do you think? Here, okay, this is very easy. You just have to give a happy face, okay, happy face, if the statement describes a feminist or a historical critic, otherwise a sad face. So let's talk about number 1. For number 1, we have a feminist critic talks about the background of a literature, including the events occurring at the time of writing. Take note of the keywords. Talks about the background of literature, including the events occurring at the Time of writing. Is this a happy face or a sad face? 5 seconds
Sabi
to
nila
think.
sad face daw. Marami
Sad
nang
face? Let's
sumagot sa
try to find out. Maraming nagsasad face. Bakit kaya? Let's try to find out if you are correct. The correct answer is indeed a sad face. This is not a feminist critic, but rather a historical, right? Tutor May? So we have the
Yes, that's
keyword here
correct.
occurring at the time. Our keyword is time, the time of writing. Let's
Mhm.
go to number two. Go, Tutor May.
Oh, there. Thank you for giving us the keyword, Shooter Juday. For historical history, it's time talaga. For number two, a feminist critic analyzes the text to explain usage or discussion of gender. All right. For number two, is it happy face or sad face? But we'll be giving you 5 seconds to think about it. Five, four, three, two, and one. And their answers are here already. Sabi nila lahat, smile face. Will they have a smile on their face once we reveal the answer? Let's
Yes,
reveal
yes,
that, Shooter July.
yes. Yes, yes,
Yay!
yes. They are correct, Tutor May. It's a happy face. And yes,
That's
our keyword here, Tutor May, is
gender.
gender. Right. Let's go to number three. You have 5 seconds to think about this. A historical critic looks beyond the literature, just like its author's background information. It looks beyond
Mhm.
the literature, just like its author's background information. 5 seconds to think. Is this a happy face or a sad face? What do you think? We have hello Carol, Jandaral, Jinky. And yes,
Hello.
if you can answer, you have 2 tokens for this. We have answers already. Wow, we have happy face. Wow, let's reveal the correct
Most of
answer for number
them.
three. Yes, it's a happy face. Our keyword here is the author's background information. It's actually beyond that because we look into the time and the period, right? So,
Mhm,
Tutor
that's
May,
correct.
let's proceed to number four.
For number four, please be ready, grades and learners. A historical critic talks about the background of a literature, including the events occurring at the time of writing. Okay, so please look at the keywords. Is it a happy face or a sad face? 5 seconds. Five,
Yes, Tutor May.
three, two, and one. So we got here happy face daw, mostly tutor Juday. Tama ba yun?
Yes, yes, yes. They are correct. It's a happy face. Our keyword is the
Time.
time. This is historical is very easy to really guess because we have keywords. Once you see time, okay. For number five, let's proceed. A historical critic believes that literary texts tell readers about gender
Oh.
relationships. Gender relationships, again, it's a historical critic believes that literary texts tell readers about gender relationships. 5 seconds to think, and if you can answer, you will be given 2 tokens. We have 2 tokens.
Nakakatuwa yung
Do we
sagot
have
ni John
answers?
Levy.
Hi, whoa, we have many students. Mark Anthony, Steffi, Harchi. Oh, their answer is sad face tutor May, and they are correct. Congratulations.
That's
Yung
you.
isa nakatawa.
Yay! It's okay.
Congratulations, bravo. Wow. For this challenge, you have 10 tokens. And to total all the challenges, we just had 2 challenges and you have a total of 15 tokens. That's super
Yeah.
beer wonders. Congratulations. Now let's move on to our fifth stop, our learning postcard. Here, just
Mhm.
please take a screenshot.
Mhm.
SS. I'll give you 5 seconds to take a screenshot.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Kindly type SSD if you're done taking a screenshot. Wow,
Mhm.
congratulations. We have students Tutor May who got 10 over 10. Harchi.
Wow. Very good.
Abby
Hearts,
May, number
hearts.
5 in one of the challenges. Wow. Ashley Tolentino, congratulations. 15 over
Congratulations.
15. And Jonalyn.
Jonalyn,
SSD.
LJ, Angel.
Wow, congratulations. Maraming nang nag-SSD Tutor May.
Yeah.
So that means they're done.
Ayan.
Please don't forget,
So,
you are going to send, yes, send your outputs to this link or you can scan the QR code here for our
SSD. Ngayon
outputs.
ko
I
lang
hope you're
nalaman na screenshot done
happy.
pala yan, Tutor Juday. And I would not learn that if not for our learners. So thank you again, grade 10 learners who helped me know the meaning of SST. And for their output, it will not be very hard because they will be looking at a text that they studied already.
Yes. And I think we have a lot of students who already who are done SSD.
Mhm.
Actually, hindi namin alam ni Rem kung ano yung SSD. SS alam namin, pero yung
Screenshot
SSD,
lang daw.
screenshot done
Screenshot
pala.
lang, yeah.
Okay.
Pasensya
Kaya,
na, medyo
yeah,
tingnan na kami
we
ni
learned
Tutor
from
Juday.
our wanderers. Yeah, we learned from our grade 10 wanderers. Yeah, really, about
Yes,
SSD. It was
that's
fun.
true. It's fun. And as we
Yes.
are teaching talaga, Tutor Juday, we are also learning from our students. Talagang
Yes.
more will be reached as we teach and more will be learned as we teach.
Yes. That's for sure, Tutor May. And yes, Tutor May, for our learning bucket today, our dear wanderers have discovered about feminist and historical approach or lenses in literary criticism. That's good. And kindly take a screenshot also on the difference for the belief, practice, and the guide questions that can help you to learn and understand or distinguish feminist from historical approach.
Yes. Tutor Juday, I hope many of our learners are appreciating or expressing their thankfulness about today's lesson. I know everyone that this lesson, yung 3 weeks na may lesson tayo ng Schools of Thought,
Literary
it's not
criticism, yes.
easy. Oo, medyo mahirap. Kahit po kami, no, learners as English majors, we find hard to criticize a text based on these schools of thoughts. If it's hard for us, definitely it's harder for you. But take your time learning and studying, no? This is your time to perfect. Bakit nga ba natin pinag-aaralan ito, Tutor Ira? Ay, Tutor Ira, ayan na naman, grade 3 po kasi ako. Grade 3 teacher sa Itilay. Bakit natin pinag-aaralan ito, Tutor Juday? It's also for us to realize that there are so many perspectives to look at a certain text or issue.
Text.
No,
Yes.
yes, a perspective may be good, but the question is it appropriate? Is your perspective appropriate for a given issue or text? So we have to welcome different perspectives. We have to welcome different approaches. So that's one
Right.
critical lesson we want you to learn, grade 10. Porket hindi kayo nagkakasundo ng approach, mali na siya. Baka mali ka din. The question is it appropriate for this situation, for this text and issue? Because we want you to be critical thinkers as you go on to senior high school. And best of luck to all of you.
Yes, indeed. Hello, Teacher Ruel Santos. Thank you so much. We have Teacher Ruel, our teacher from Santa Lucia, right?
Yeah.
And yes, Tutor May, for our learning bucket today, our learners learned about tragedy. It's mentioned it's one of the genre of a drama that we have mentioned, Romeo and Juliet, and also feminism. We've learned that in our session today.
Dalawa lang
Congratulations,
naman
dear
yung Tutor
wanderers.
Juday, tragedy tsaka comedy. Pag tragedy, sad. Pag comedy, happy. Kaya today,
Yeah.
happy and sad. Tragedy for sad, comedy happy. And these are our references.
Yes, thank you so much. And of course, we always welcome your feedback because from your feedback, we can learn and we can improve better for you. And also, Tutor May, nandito po si Tutor May, our program. And Tutor May, thank you so much for being with me today kasi nagka-problema po yung internet ni Tutor Rem. So, thank you
Walang
so
problema.
much po. Hindi ka lang director, pati tutor. So, thank you so much.
And we miss Tutor Rem. No, we
Yeah,
miss you,
Tutor
Tutor
Rem.
Rem. And I know our learners miss Tutor Rem. And definitely, she will be with you on our last week for third quarter. Ang bilis ng panahon,
That's for
Tutor Juday,
sure.
no?
Mag-quarter
Magsa-senior high
4
school
na.
na naman natin. Magsa-senior high school na yung mga bata natin sa grade 10. Pero we wish and pray for all the blessings to you, grade 10.
Yes, indeed. Our dear wanderers. So please don't forget our hashtag E2Like English JHS. Once again, I am Tutor Guide Juday and
We dearly
Tutor
miss Tutor
May.
Rem. And here
Yes,
I am, Tutor
my
May.
partner ko si Tutor Rem. So I hope you enjoyed our session today. Thank you so much. And please don't forget to be judicious in using feminist
Mhm.
and historical approach in studying or analyzing a literary text. And thank you so
Mhm.
much, Tutor May. God
Yes,
bless
and please
everyone.
don't forget to share our session so more grade 10 learners will learn in our session. Goodbye and see you next Tuesday. Thank you, Tutor
Thank
Janelle. We
you.
miss you, Tutor
Thank
Ren.
you.
Bye-bye.